Niger, a West African nation that has been home to hundreds of American troops, has recently requested the removal of U.S. forces from its territory. The request comes amidst accusations of condescension and threats made by Niger's military government against the United States. The military leaders also claim that the U.S. falsely accused Niger of wanting to supply uranium to Iran. This development has raised concerns and sparked discussions about the presence of foreign troops in Niger and the dynamics of their relationship with the host country. This is a significant move, as Niger has housed about 1,000 American troops who play a role in counterterrorism efforts in the region. In a recent turn of events, the United States is trying to create a new military agreement with Niger that would allow it to remain in the country. Washington is showing serious concern about the spread of jihadist violence in areas of Africa, where local groups have sworn allegiance to al-Qaeda and the Islamic State groups, particularly in Niger, which is vital to U.S. military operations in the Sahel. A significant U.S. airbase is located in Agadez, about 920 kilometers from the country's capital, Niamey. It is used for both manned and unmanned surveillance flights, as well as other missions. The United States has also spent hundreds of millions of dollars training the country's armed forces since it started conducting operations in Niger in 2013. The U.S. will therefore lose a lot of money if they are to leave Niger. Since the country's democratically elected president was overthrown by soldiers in July, ties between Niger and Western nations have been strained. Since then, the military leaders in Niger have ordered the withdrawal of French forces and have turned to Russia for protection. Russian military instructors arrived earlier this month to bolster the nation's air defenses and provide Nigerines with Russian-made equipment for training purposes. The decision to revise this agreement does not outline what the terms would be, and it's still unclear if the military leaders in Niger will be receptive to them. Note that Niger clearly does not make all decisions on her own. So this will be discussed by the Alliance of Sahel states, if at all they give the U.S. a chance. However, the military leaders in Niger have made it clear that they want a different model for what U.S. military cooperation with Niger looks like. We can say they want to change the narrative when it concerns allies. The revised agreement would aim at finding a formula that addressed respective interests and concerns, as maintaining a U.S. presence in the country is essential to ensure the safety of the troops. What's at stake is more than counterterrorism operations. Without a U.S. troop presence, it will become harder to protect and evacuate military and diplomatic staff in the region if there were any type of escalation. The United States has, however, agreed to withdraw its more than 1,000 troops from Niger, appending its posture in West Africa. The long-expected move effectively marks a new regional gain for Russia, which has also forged closer ties with military leaders in neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso. Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell accepted the call to remove troops in a meeting in Washington with the Prime Minister of Niger, Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain. The best course of action is for the U.S. to pull out, but this will be difficult given the massive military and intelligence infrastructure the U.S. has built up in the nation. If the United States decides to stay, it should create a new strategy that breaks from the counterterrorism cooperation paradigm that hasn't worked for the previous 10 years and keeps pushing other Sahelian states to stop violating human rights and hold them accountable. Bear in mind that in October, Washington formally declared the military takeover to be a coup, which led to the enactment of laws in the U.S., limiting U.S. military assistance and support to Niger. According to a State Department official, a U.S. delegation visited Niger in March to hold high-level talks to see whether it was feasible to reach a resolution that took into account the concerns of both parties. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also paid a rare visit to Niger a year ago in hopes of shoring up Mohamed Bazoum, the elected president and stalwart ally in Western security efforts against jihadists. Just 4 months later, the military deposed Bazoum and put him under house arrest. Many think there might be a connection between Iran and Niger. It should be noted that Iran hosted Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain, the Prime Minister of Niger, in January and expressed a desire to assist Niger in navigating the international sanctions imposed after the coup. In September 2023, Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi commended certain African nations for their battle against hegemonic European policies and colonialism. Iran, similar to Russia and Turkey, is willing to strengthen its influence in Africa, where it has been bolstering ties to reduce its isolation. Last year, Iran signed several cooperation pacts with Burkina Faso in energy, urban planning, construction, and higher education. Russia has also moved to expand its influence in Niger and West Africa more broadly, filling the void left by France. Earlier this month, Russia and Niger pledged to boost military cooperation. Cooperation between Niger and Iran could be more beneficial to both nations. Niger accounts for about 5% of the world's uranium production, making it one of the top producers worldwide, and of course, Iran needs uranium for its contentious nuclear program. Iran's expansion into Africa might assist the Islamic Republic in mitigating the effects of the sanctions. But it is also important to note that Niger is a vital player in the war against terrorism in the Sahel. Niger's decision to break military ties with the United States and its apparently strengthening ties to Russia and Iran raise questions about potential shifts in the country's alliances and partnerships. Western powers' presence and influence in the Sahel may be impacted by the region's propensity to form partnerships with non-Western nations. The U.S. Army withdrawal could affect the dynamics of regional security by perhaps leaving a security void that extremist organizations could take advantage of. This might have more far-reaching effects on the stability of the Sahel region overall and surrounding nations. One of the largest drone bases in Africa, operated by the U.S., is located in Niger. The U.S. has not been using its troops and drones at the base for counterterrorism operations since the July coup. If the U.S. withdraws its forces completely, it may lose access to the facility, which it developed wholly on its own. Bear in mind that when France was pulling out its troops from Niger, many people believed that the U.S. was going to counter the insecurities in the region. But the U.S. now has to leave the country. This has made many people start raising questions. Who now is to take the job? Is Russia going to take control now, as Vladimir Putin has been re-elected as president? Others are saying all this is just going to put more pressure on Chiani and the alliance of Sahel states. General Abdurrahman Chiani and Russian President Vladimir Putin picked up the phone early this month and dove into talks about strengthening security cooperation. Niger and Russia have agreed to strengthen their military ties in various ways. One aspect is the potential for arms deals, where Niger will receive weapons and military equipment from Russia to bolster its armed forces. There are also plans for Russian instructors to provide training to Nigerian soldiers, enhancing their combat capabilities and operational readiness. The deployment of Russian private military contractors, notably the notorious Wagner Group, is also a possibility. These mercenary forces could be stationed in Niger to assist in counterterrorism operations or provide security for Russian interests in the country. Intelligence sharing between the two nations is on the table, facilitating cooperation in areas such as identifying and monitoring terrorist threats. Beyond the military realm, Niger and Russia have discussed broader multi-sector and global strategic cooperation. This encompasses various areas, including energy, mining, and infrastructure development projects. Russia's overtures in these sectors indicate its efforts to expand its influence and economic footprint in Africa, leveraging Niger's natural resources and development needs. Russia may seek opportunities to participate in infrastructure projects in Niger, such as the construction of roads, railways, or public buildings. These initiatives not only generate economic benefits, but also serve as avenues for deepening political and cultural ties between the two nations. Niger has been going through some tough times in the past month. They missed a debt payment of 13.4 billion CFA in February, bringing the total default to some $519M since the takeover and its suspension from regional financial markets. The West African Monetary Union Debt Management Agency said in a statement that Niger had failed to make a repayment of principal, which was due on February 16. It previously missed payments in August, November, January, and February. They also decided to quit ECOWAS and abandon the CFA franc. Now, they are ordering the American troops to leave. Concerns regarding the future of security and stability in the area have been raised by Niger's decision to order American troops to leave its territory. The move made by the Nigerian government is part of a larger trend in the Sahel region of countries seeking to rethink their alliances and connections, including extending their reach toward non-Western countries like Russia and Iran. The decision by the U.S. troops to leave Niger marks a significant turning point in the country's relationship with the United States. The withdrawal of American personnel from Niger represents a change in policy and a renewed emphasis on regional partnerships and diplomacy, even though their presence there has surely helped in the battle against terrorism and given local security forces vital support. The United States' decision to finally remove its troops from Niger could also be seen from another point of view, since it represents a thorough reevaluation of the country's military obligations around the world. In order to ensure the efficacy and sustainability of U.S. military involvement, it is imperative that resources and priorities be reevaluated in light of ongoing wars in other regions of the world and changing security threats. This withdrawal also gives Niger a chance to bolster its own security capabilities and assume a more prominent role in maintaining regional stability. Increased investment in intelligence sharing, border control, and counterterrorism initiatives, as well as improved neighborly cooperation, will be necessary for this transformation. With its advantageous location and enormous potential, Niger has the opportunity to play a significant role in promoting peace and growth throughout the Sahel. Let us take note that the circumstances are still changing, and it is unclear how the withdrawal of U.S. forces would affect Niger and the larger Sahel. Whatever the case, we will be here to provide you with information as this unfolds. Do you think the U.S. will withdraw their troops from Niger, or they are going to come up with better terms? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too so you get notified whenever we upload videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video.